Many of us looked up to Jon Stewart. He was the guy who took The Daily Show from celebrity gossip into politics and encouraged many of us to be involved in news and politics. I grew up watching Jon Stewart and then Stephen Colbert, and I very much liked those shows. Jon Stewart is a guy who was liberal, but he had praised Project Veritas while mocking them playfully on more than one occasion. He seemed to be fair. When Jon Stewart retired, we were all a little bit sad. An end of an era was before us. But when Jon Stewart announced that he was coming back, many people were surprised. Surely the new show from Jon Stewart would help save this country embroiled in a massive culture war. I thought this is what we need. A sane liberal to come back and be like, guys, what are you doing? There were a few fleeting moments. Jon Stewart went on Colbert's show and talked about lab leak hypothesis, and Colbert pushed back saying, well, I don't know about all that. But Jon Stewart seemed to be talking sense, saying the story here about Wuhan and the lab leak is just logic. Well, what did we get? When Jon Stewart's new show launched, we discovered he went woke. And he went painfully woke. That wasn't funny, didn't make sense, and now it shows. Jon Stewart's super woke Apple TV Plus show a flop, according to a report. That is to say, his ratings appear to be around 40,000. 40,000. Now, Apple TV hasn't released the direct ratings, so we don't know for sure. Some are claiming it's the #1 show, but what does that really mean if we don't have the ratings on what that is? Maybe people just don't actually watch Apple TV. Some are saying it's the #8 show. I think what we're seeing here is that the people who used to watch Jon Stewart are people like us. And we're fed up with woke, psychotic cult nonsense. Jon Stewart was out of the game too long. So when he comes back, he decides to make a choice. I'm on the left, he says, so I'm going to go with what they're saying. The only problem? He's an old white dude. I mean, I know he's Jewish, but like they're going to want to listen to a guy who's late to the party in their woke cult. And the people who do believe in honesty, fair reporting, and playful ribbing at people who are being inconsistent, they're not going to want to watch this. The other night, we made fun of Tucker Carlson because, well, aside from lamenting the lack of sexiness from M&Ms, he did a documentary apparently about tanning one's junk. We like Tucker Carlson. I don't think he's perfect. Of course, not everybody is perfect, but he gets it right more often than not. And I can respect his arguments, even if I disagree with them, because he's being honest. When he does weird things like M&Ms or, the junk tanning stuff, we can mock him for it. That's the way it used to be with Jon Stewart. Sane reality was on the side of the liberals. At least that's how we viewed things, but something went awry. People started to go nuts, and now Jon Stewart is back with a failing show. Contrast this with Bill Maher. Bill Maher is now admitting he plays to a right-wing audience. Bill Maher is accused of being right-wing. Bill Maher is actually mocking the woke left. He's far from perfect because he doesn't know what to do. But here we can see what happens. Bill Maher decides he's going to stick to a little bit of what his principles were, but not all of it. Covington kids he got wrong a week after the story was corrected because I think he's just kind of lazy. Semi-retired, as I'd call it. Jon Stewart comes back and just seems to be saying, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And now we can see legacy media is failing in the face of woke trash. The Daily Wire is skyrocketing, one of the fastest growing media organizations, if not the fastest. Why? Because regular people have had enough. I recently hung out with the Daily Wire and I told them, I said, guys, you've taken the hill. Hollywood and these production companies, they stood atop the cultural hill and they retreated for ideological reasons, leaving the field open for you to claim. The Daily Wire doesn't need to put messaging in their content. They just need good content, and it's working because we're sick of it. We're sick of the wokeness. We just want honesty, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Jon Stewart, he went the wrong direction, and it's sad to see. We're also seeing CNN fail. CNN Plus has done so poorly, they just laid off their CFO. They're canceling marketing, and it looks like CNN is about to crash. So let's talk about this. Before we get started, head over to Timcast.com, become a member. If you would like to support our work as a member, you'll get access to exclusive members-only segments on the Timcast IRL podcast. But the most important thing, you're keeping our journalists employed. Why, it was just today that we dug into the story from Taylor Lorenz, where she doxed the private home address of the creator of Libs of TikTok. We had to do some digging. It cost a little bit of money. I'm surprised many other conservatives and other independent media organizations didn't do this. Maybe they will and they'll verify it, but we found public records indicating she did dox the private home address. If you think the reporting we are doing is good, and I think it is, then we need your support. We don't charge for the news articles, but when you become a member, you make sure those news articles keep happening. Many of you may just want to watch Timcast IRL podcast episodes. By all means, that's fine, but just keep in mind, this is what you're helping build. Hopefully, as a member, or you realize that reading these articles, we rely on memberships to keep going. And the good news is we're bigger than CNN Plus. So I always say smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and share the show with your friends, because if everybody who watched this video shared it somewhere, we would be bigger than CNN overnight. And I can proudly say with your support, we are bigger than CNN Plus. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? It's the end of an era. Times are changing. Jon Stewart could have brought back something powerful, something meaningful, but instead, get woke, go broke. Fox News reports Jon Stewart's super woke Apple TV show a flop. Stewart decried the American dream as a fallacy, wrong, for anyone who isn't white in a recent episode. I find it just so pathetic. Jon, I looked up to you, man. I remember when I was at Occupy Wall Street, I was like, I would love to talk to Jon Stewart about everything I saw. You know, Jon Stewart ended up canceling, retiring, as it were. Trevor Noah took over. Trevor Noah decided to go woke. And Trevor Noah captured that audience. What's Jon Stewart have to offer? This is not why people want to watch Jon Stewart. Fox News says, former Daily Show host Jon Stewart's woke new series, The Problem with Jon Stewart, has been dubbed a flop, according to new reports. Stewart's Apple TV show, which debuted in September, averaged only about 180,000 U.S. homes in its first week. By the fifth episode in March, viewership went down 78% to only 40,000 U.S. homes within 7 days, according to Bloomberg. Whoa! Yo! I'm looking at a turkey right now. No, I'm completely serious. I got 2 wild turkeys right there in my backyard. I could go out with my phone right now. In fact, I could do it right now. Maybe I should. No, maybe I shouldn't. I could take a video of those turkeys and post it on Instagram and get more viewers than that. Now, perhaps Jon Stewart is getting more views than just 40,000. They say by comparison, Samba TV reported 844,000 U.S. homes tuned into a March episode of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, hosted by John Oliver. Stewart's latest show was previously panned by many news outlets. After its initial release, the series has also been blasted online by online viewers for offering super woke and anti-white takes. In 2 episodes that aired in March, Stewart insinuated that British-American author Andrew Sullivan was racist by agreeing with a guest, accusing Sullivan of perpetuating racist dog whistle tropes. A separate episode featured Democratic Senator Cory Booker calling out Stewart for suggesting white resentment led to white people opposing financial aid to black farmers. No, when you say white farmers, I don't care what Booker said. Apple TV has declined to release its numbers, but reports from Parrot Analytics have shown that Stewart's program is the 8th most in-demand talk show in the U.S. What does that mean? Ahead of programs hosted by Ellen DeGeneres and James Corden, and behind ones hosted by Jimmy Kimmel, Fallon, Colbert, and Trevor Noah. That doesn't mean anything. Most in demand? What does that mean? I don't know. Seemingly meaningless. I got to be completely honest. Demand? So maybe they polled people and they said, what show would you want to watch? And they were like, I'd love to watch Jon Stewart. And then Jon Stewart comes out and they're like, I don't want to watch that. That's bad. I'll say it again. Once I wrap this up, I'm going to film the turkeys and post it to Instagram, and I'm going to get more than 40,000 views. Isn't that crazy? Jon Stewart couldn't even get that? What? It's really sad. When he did that episode called The Problem with White People, I was just like, bro, no, this is not it. Let's talk about that American dream as a fallacy for anyone who isn't white. Oh, it is so annoying. You know, they'll make every excuse in the book. You guys know my story. I know. But for those that don't, when I went to Occupy Wall Street, before I got any recognition, I was told that I was such a great example of what was wrong with this country because I come from a mixed race background. I'm a high school dropout, but I'm a smart guy. I should be successful. What's wrong with this system? It's because you're not silver spoon white privilege, Tim. Then Time Magazine put me on Times Person of the Year, featured as one of their Times Person of the Year features. I wasn't the Person of the Year. The protester was. I was one of 6 video features. They nominated me for the Time 100. And then all of a sudden they were saying Tim Pool is a white kid who grew up rich with a silver spoon in his mouth because the narrative they need to push must deny the existence of the American dream. That you can be from the South Side. You can be from a lower income family. You can have your family's home could be lost to bankruptcy. You could grow up near gangs and have friends who died of heroin overdoses, and you can find a way to succeed. And I did, because I believe in the American dream. It does exist. Not everybody can make it. Some people can. It's a real thing. But since when was the American dream about being rich? The American dream was that you could pull yourself out of the gutter, that you, as someone from a terrible place, could work hard and get a nice house and have a family. That was the American dream. Jon Stewart is playing the dirty game again. Take a look at this. A muted start. Social media posts across the board for Stewart's show, smaller than its peers. Colbert is doing way better. Yeah, but Colbert's on network TV with a built-in audience. Trevor Noah inherited the audience from Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart could not muster up even more than John Oliver. Bleh. Now, of course, in this article from Bloomberg, they do say that other metrics say he's the number one unscripted series on Apple TV, but what does that really mean? We don't have those numbers. It could be that he's doing well, but let me tell you, when they come out and they say so-and-so is the biggest podcast in the world, let me give you some metrics. There are some of the top podcasts in the world. I'm not going to name who, because this is their private information. But some of the top podcasts only get 100 to 300,000 downloads, viewers on their show. And they're like the biggest in the world. And when I learned that, I said, no, that can't be right. I get more than that on YouTube. We did a special episode with Ben Shapiro. It's got like 500,000 views. Got like 500,000 views in a day. Put it up on Sunday. We do our podcast on Spotify and iTunes, all of that. We get around, like 120 to 130,000 downloads. And we are not often on the top charts because top charts are based on how many people subscribe to your show. It's crazy, right? You get new subscribers, they boost you in the ratings. So appearing on other podcasts to boost you up. They can come out and claim it's the most in-demand show, but nobody watches it because they don't really release all of the legitimate metrics. Let's take a look at where Bill Maher went, because Bill Maher still gets around 1 million people watching his show. Bill Maher is trying to dance the line between still being a liberal, but calling out wokeness. Well, good for him. It's far from perfect. Look at this story from November 23rd. Daily Beast says Bill Maher is America's most important conservative voice. Bill Maher is not a conservative. He is a secular liberal. But you see how they're calling him conservative? You see how they call me conservative? You know what? I'm someone who grew up watching Jon Stewart. I am a person whose worldview, opinions very much came to fruition through people like Jon Stewart. You know what I liked? I liked that he complimented Project Veritas in his own way, mocked them for being silly and wearing weird clothes, but said they did good work. Journalists, where are you? How are these guys scooping you? It's a compliment in its own way. And he reported on what Project Veritas uncovered with Acorn uncritically. He said, look what they were able to do with this undercover reporting. Today, they just make up lies about Project Veritas. I respected that. I don't view people like Bill Maher or Jon Stewart as enemies. I'll tell you this, the woke cultists, I believe, are evil people for the most part. They lie, cheat, and steal their way to the top. No, I think for a while I believed that Jon Stewart was a good dude or that Bill Maher was, but I think they're pandering. They're scared. I have no fear in calling out the BS. I don't care who wants to listen or who follows. That is to say, I'm not crossing my fingers and hoping conservatives come to my show. I'm not crossing my fingers and hoping liberals come to my show. I'm telling you how I think and feel, and the people who will come and listen will come and listen. There's nothing else I can do about it. Good people, it's the best I can do. But it feels like Bill Maher, to a lesser degree than Jon Stewart, are desperately trying to hold on of some semblance of, I'm on the left. Yeah, look, policy-wise, we're talking about the political compass. Yeah, I'm on the left. I'm not on the right. Why? Because I believe in social programs and some economic left-leaning policy, but I'm pretty centrist. I'm also very libertarian. Gun rights is not right-wing on the political compass. Now, when the left talks about left-right as tribes, oh, sure, I'm certainly not on the left in terms of tribe. Those people have lost their minds. But on the political compass, when we're talking about economics and policy, I lean left. I don't need anyone to, you can call me whatever you want. I literally don't care. It's not going to change my opinion. What'll change my opinion is sound arguments. Bill Maher, he knows he's wrong about a lot of this stuff, but I think he's scared to lose audience. I had no problem coming out and telling the Trump supporters they're wrong about the election fraud stuff, and they yell at me for it. Fine, you're allowed to. Whatever, we disagree. Don't watch my show if you don't want to watch my show. There's nothing I can do about it. I ain't changing my opinion to try and get more viewers. Take a look at this from January 28th. Bill Maher fires back at those who say his politics have changed, blames loony left politics. Bravo, good sir. You're right. Maybe now, Bill, you'll read the news for once, and you'll be like, wow. How wrong was I about all of that? A new report, let me tell you guys, a new report shows that Hunter Biden was paying family expenses. While working on the board of Burisma, when his dad went and got a prosecutor fired, the prosecutor was investigating the founder of that company. It's all one big happy family tree, son. That's not a left-wing or right-wing position to call out corruption. Hey, you want to hear more? Donald Trump's properties were being advertised on government websites in the UK. That was also wrong. I have no problem saying things that are true. Criticize them. I still think Donald Trump was way better than Joe Biden because I was willing to look at things objectively. I don't care if these leftists or liberal tribalists are like, Jim Poole is right wing, I refuse to listen to him. Whatever happens, I'm going to say what needs to be said. And that is that Jon Stewart and Bill Maher deserve a reckoning. And it appears it's happening. Now, Bill Maher, he's clinged on for dear life, coming on his show and being like, maybe this woke stuff is bad, actually. Yeah, because he realized, guess what? People like me, I used to be his audience. I don't watch him anymore. A little bit here and there. I used to watch his show every day. I mean, every day it was probably, it was like, you know, when was it? Friday nights or something? We'd be hanging out at my friend's house and we put it on and we liked the show. It was reasonable. What happened? I guess media went nuts. Take a look at this. Scoop, CNN Plus looks doomed. Media went insane. CNN executives think the launch has been successful. Discovery executives disagree. All right, so here's good news. CNN Plus has roughly 150,000 subscribers good far. I said good news for CNN. They have 10,000 daily active users, but hey, they got a lot of users. They're bigger than us in that capacity. The strange thing is with all those users, we actually have more daily active users, I'm pretty sure. 150,000 subscribers. That's a lot. They're getting between $3 and $5 per subscriber, so they're getting millions of dollars per month. Okay, maybe I'll go back and say, in some ways we're bigger than CNN, but we're not big enough. So share timcast.com, sign up. We should be. Now, of course, they put, $300 million into this company? Apparently 150K subs wasn't enough, and they're not going to be able to sustain it. So they're talking about shutting down marketing. They've laid off their chief financial officer as it weighs what to do with their streaming service. Yeah, because CNN is trash. They've become trash. They've become worse and worse. They weren't always great. They weren't always good. But they were better than this. They at least reported the news. I want to show you some stories. We have this one from CNN. A public university in Ohio will pay a professor $400,000 after disciplining him for refusing to use a transgender student's pronouns. On the left and in the mainstream media, they will tell you that this is shocking because you should use people's pronouns. But in the real world, the courts are like, you don't have to. In the real world, professors sue. As much as the media and woke Twitter tries to claim this is reality, it's not. And that's why Jon Stewart fails. I'm sure they're doing better than we realize, but they're doing substantially worse than they expected. In this story from the Washington Post, judge's decision to void mask mandate prompts mid-flight cheers among flyers. Well, you mean to tell me that the mask mandate was unpopular? But all of these woke people with blue check marks and tons of followers, here's one with 250,000 followers, are shocked and outraged. One Twitter user said, "Hey, Delta, I hope all the passengers on your flights in the air when they found out about the mask mandates being lifted sue the ish out of you for a breach of contract for a masked flight and your lack of fiduciary responsibility to provide a safe flight." This verified Twitter user says this with fingers pointing down. People are cheering. There was a video of a guy walking with a bag being like, throw in your masks, dancing and singing. As everyone's like, woo, and they're throwing all their masks in the garbage. And these people think they are in the majority. This is why when you look at polling, you can see that independent voters 2-1, typically, I say 2-1, lean towards Republicans. Not always. The Republican Party is trash. But I'm talking about issues like, is the economy good or bad? Independents 2-1 say it's bad. Democrats say it's good 2-1. What's up with that inversion? Why are independent voters leaning towards the right? Because the left has gone insane. And Jon Stewart couldn't see that. Or at the very least, he thought, I will capitalize on a saturated market of insanity. John, your fans didn't go in that direction. They went in this direction. We are not conservatives. We have not been traditionally conservative. We were the people who were saying, hey, gay people should be allowed to get married. The conservatives were like, no. And the conservatives are still like, no. And guess what? I sit down with them every day. People like Seamus Coughlin of Freedom Tunes. And we disagree. I sat down with, slip of the tongue. I sat down with Jason Whitlock in Nashville. And he said that he didn't agree with gay marriage. And I said, I do. I think people have that, need to have equal rights under the law in that capacity. The same is true for trans people. I just don't agree with going after kids. I don't agree with the woke cult stuff. I don't believe in digging up people's tweets. I don't believe in publishing the private address of somebody because you don't like that they're aggregating videos and posting them to Twitter. I think people have lost their minds and would much prefer if people just became a bit more civil. But I want to tell you about radicalization of media and where it all goes wrong. Malcolm Nance. Oh, Malcolm. He was on MSNBC. I'm pretty sure he's let's here we go. MSNBC analyst Malcolm Nance leaves network to fight in Ukraine. Are you nuts? I'm sorry. Malcolm Nance posted an image of him in tactical gear with a rifle, and it says, I'm done talking. Join the Legion. Stop Russia. Slava Ukrainia. Really, dude? Wow, he posted this last night. From being a commentator on TV to being a 60-year-old going and fighting. Dude, this reminds me a lot of, you ever see the movie Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise? How he's like a marketing officer. He's got high rank, but he's not a fighter. And then the Joint Command to fight the aliens, like, you're going to be on the front lines with the camera. And he's like, what, me? Are you crazy? That's what it feels like. Publicity stunt, PR. This dude, you're 60, bro. You're 60. I'm 36. I could probably fight. I ain't crazy enough to do that. Now, Malcolm Nance has military experience. He was a naval intelligence officer. He served as an on-air analyst for the network since 2007. You mean to tell me it's been 15 years and you're going to go out there? Yo, this is insanity. This is radicalization. This is absolutely insane. And this is what the media has become. What regular American person, is going to look at this and be like, this makes tons of sense. There are people who buy into it. There are people who eat it up. But I think this just shows you how insane the media has become. A TV commentator has gone to fight in Ukraine. Okay, y'all, we are desperate for ratings now, aren't we? What happened to I don't know, man. What happened to honest conversations? What happened to skepticism? What happened to independent thought? John, why didn't you just come out and be like, nah, I ain't buying that. Doesn't jive with my personal opinion. No, because he was like, I want to make money. That's the only way I can see it. Bill Maher, he's at least willing to push back a little bit, but I still think what Bill Maher is doing is a desperate attempt to keep his show going. Bill Maher said, he's like, for the first time, I'm playing to a right-wing audience. I'm playing to both left and right. Yeah, Jon Stewart knows what he's doing. I'm sorry, Bill Maher. Bill Maher probably saw his ratings and was like, what's happening? I got to make sure I can maintain true liberal values. And so he pushed back. But he's not willing to give up on his bread and butter, the networks that run his show. It really is sad. This is where we've gone. I want to show you this. Amanda Milia says, I just heard, Malcolm Nance, that during the Trump transition team, he applied for a job in the administration. Sent in his resume through folks who knew him from JSOC. He did not go anti-Trump till he got turned down for a job in many such cases. Yeah, it's just about career. It's about career. Let me show you the state of media. One thing that we've been talking about all day is the story about Taylor Lorenz. Taylor Lorenz published a story revealing the name of the person who runs the popular Twitter account Libs of TikTok, but also linked to private details, including the private home address of this creator, as well as the address of their family members. Now, when I reached out to Lorenz said, I did not publish the home address of the individual, but according to public documents, that is not the case. Now, it's possible the address is incorrect. I mentioned this in other segments, but it's relevant to where we're at. For those who aren't familiar with the context, it may be that libs of TikTok moved from this address, but public records indicate the address Taylor Lorenz posted is the home address of this individual. Just saying I didn't do it. I'm like, but I have the archive showing you linked to it. I have public documents showing that address is the home address. Unless you can provide me with some real evidence, we have confirmation. Public documents show this is the address. Now, why would Taylor Lorenz do that? The argument now online is it's all about real reporting. But you don't need to show someone's address, their employer, and their name to explain the motives behind it. I bring you now to Matthew Iglesias, who addresses the issue. And let me get into context as to why this is relevant. This is about what the media has become and why Jon Stewart is failing and why the media is insane. Matthew Iglesias co-founded Vox, the progressive website. He said, "Here is a take on the Taylor Lorenz libs of TikTok story that is really a defense of my chosen craft of take slinging. The problem with the piece is that its point is clearly something like libs of TikTok is bad. But because it's structured as a news story, it doesn't have a clear thesis statement or the attributes of a well-constructed bit of opinion journalism where you defend the thesis against counter-arguments. I would actually much rather read a well-edited, thesis-driven take from Lorenz about the libs of TikTok account and why some people think that it's good, but in fact it's bad. After all, which things are good and which are bad is often of great interest. There is also, I think, great value in straight news reporting. This happened, that happened. He said this, she said that. But today we have too much uncanny valley stuff. Takes that are structured as news stories, often through the alchemy of experts say. In this case, the identity of the person behind the libs of TikTok account turns out to be totally uninteresting. She's a random crank. That's it. But both the libs of TikTok account and the phenomenon of left-wing educators doing TikTok videos, why do they do this, is interesting. That's right. The story is just trying to smear someone. I give you this tweet from Lorenz herself, saying, rather than debate doxing, I hope people can read this story and see the striking escalation of attacks against gay and trans people and the crucial role this account has played in the right-wing media ecosystem. And there it is. The purpose of the story from Lorenz is that it is bad and that the right is using it. Well, that's fascinating. Libs of TikTok takes publicly available videos, aggregates them. That's about it. Libs of TikTok has an opinion. What does that have to do? Where's the news? Taylor Lorenz, in my opinion, did not do news. Taylor Lorenz took a story, framed it as news, framed something that they didn't like as bad, doxed the private home address of the individual, claimed they didn't when they did, and I have the archives and we have proof they did, and tries to make it seem like I'm just doing standard reporting. This is what media has become in the woke world. But to wrap it all up in a neat bow, Jon Stewart's show fails because he gets woke and goes broke. Regular people don't agree with these things. In fact, regular people agree with the sentiments published by libs of TikTok. When you look at the Parental Rights and Education Bill, the Wall Street Journal published this, where 59% of Democrats agree with the bill. But on Twitter, they call it "Don't Say Gay." The Democrats call it "Don't Say Gay," even though it's not. Now, if even Democrats agree with the bill, where is the opposition coming from? It's coming from the likes of people like Taylor Lorenz, who masquerade as journalists, decry doxing, but then turn around only a few weeks later and publish the private home address of people they don't like. I'll stress this point. When I reached out to Taylor Lorenz, and I will give Taylor respect for this far, she did respond, and rather quickly, saying, I did not reveal the home address of this person. Okay, denial is fine, but I have the archive. I have the story where you can click the link and then it shows the private home address of this individual. Simply denying it, I'm sorry, is just not correct. She also linked to the private home address of family members of this person. Why do that? Now, Washington Post did remove those links after a backlash because that is a serious story. I mean, a journalist publishing the home address. I'm seeing everybody on Twitter being like, it's just a name. All they did was post the name. And I'm like, I even thought that was the case this morning. Turns out, no, it's the private home address. So I'll get into all of this in for those listening on the podcast version of this in the next segment. But this is the nature of media today. Journalists are just activists. They're targeting you for political reasons. Jon Stewart decided he was going to join in that, and now he's failing because of it. I'm sort of an activist. I think that's fair to say. But my activism is freedom. I think you should have knowledge, and you should be free. That means I will tell you to the best of my ability the nuance of a circumstance, the true details around something, and then you can decide for yourself. That's all I really care about. Everything is effectively political. Everything is, in essence, political. That's what the left says. That's why they're justified in doing what they do. What if you choose to cover this story or that story? Well, that's what you choose to cover. People can find and follow whatever they want. If people follow you, it's because they like and trust you and they like what you talk about. Yeah, that's reality. That's human nature. But choosing to omit information, choosing to include information, that's where things get political. We talked about whether or not we withhold this story because it could cause harm. That's a true journalistic ethic, a part of journalistic ethics. But I felt the importance of the story outweighed the risk factors, and the risk factors should be on Taylor Lorenz and the Washington Post. Regular people throw their masks off and cheer when the mask mandates are lifted. Twitter journalists tell you that masks are important and you should sue airlines. Who's going to sue them? The people who are cheering? This is my point. Jon Stewart chased after a 6-year-old psychotic binge, social media binge. All of these people on social media who are chasing after the psychosis are starting to bail out. Bill Maher bails out. Matthew Iglesias was with Vox, and even he's coming out criticizing Taylor Lorenz. People are waking up and like, yo, regular people, regular Americans, they don't like this stuff. Jon Stewart's an idiot who came late to the party and said, I'll join in. And it's like, John, like, we're done with all of that. But you know what? Maybe some people will never learn. All in all, I think that we are seeing victory for those that believe in true liberalism, real freedom and liberty. That includes conservatives to a great degree, and post-liberals. Post-liberal typically refers to those that are politically homeless. We used to be on the left. We used to be the followers of Jon Stewart, the viewers and audience of his shows. And now we're looking at them confused like, yo, what happened to you, dude? We did not move. Bill Maher says, I didn't move, they moved. No, Bill Maher, you moved a little bit because you're following broken, insane activist news. But Jon Stewart decided to jump head first. And that's just sad. And that's just crazy. And for this, his show is in the gutter. I assume his show is not as bad as they're saying. I mean, everybody was saying CNN only had 10,000 users when they have 150,000 users. That makes sense to me. But it's reported they only had 10,000 daily active users, which is like, ugh. Yo, that's crazy. And reportedly suspending marketing. Good. They're still making tons of money. But you know what I can say? Probably by the time that, I can actually say this right now. I don't know what the ratings are of Jon Stewart when he was doing his show, but I can tell you that our ratings are higher than Bill Maher. It's hard to quantify because we break the show up in various ways. They would just go on TV and everybody would watch, but now it's VOD stuff. I'll say this. We get more views at Timcast than Bill Maher does on his show. His YouTube clips may make up for it, but times are changing. And we need people to step up and say, hey, it's time to back away. But their ratings have been going down. Jon Stewart was gone for too long. If you really do like the work we do and you want to support this media, you need to become a member at timcast.com because we are going to keep pushing, keep expanding. And with your support, we will shatter through the lies and the manipulations. I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up at 8 p.m. tonight over at youtube.com/timcastirl. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all next time.